Hi everyone and welcome to episode 136 of the Talk is Cheap show. We are live and direct in the salubrious North London studios here we got. And I'm very honoured to introduce my co-host, co-presenter. What can you say about this man that hasn't already been said? But he's in the house. Curtis Shaw of Curtis Shaw TV. What are you saying, bro?
What's happening, bro? Good to be back.
Yes, great to be back, man.
Good to be back, man.
Yeah, all things are good.
Yeah, man.
How you been?
I'm good. I tell you what, it's amazing the impact of football, isn't it? Like I was sitting there at the weekend going, what am I going to do without football, man?
I know.
You know what I mean? I'm doing chores around the house, you know.
Well, you don't normally.
Well, not too often. Bring someone in,
Revelations here.
Yeah, you bring someone in to get that done,
Oh,
don't you?
okay,
Know what I mean?
right. Well, when you're Mr. 50k, you can afford such privileges. But hey, yeah, man, you know what it is? I have to say, it was almost reminiscent of lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It kind of brought back those feelings for me, man. But yeah, like you said, man, we're back and we got lots to talk about. Thanks everybody, obviously, for tuning in. Please be proactive. What's the word
in the
I'm looking
comments?
for? Interactive.
Interactive.
Yeah, interactive. Let us know what you think. Put your comments out there. Flood us with your super chats. How about that? You know what I mean? But right, listen. Let's get straight down to it, man. Last week was a monumental week in the world in terms of what was going on. Last Thursday, the sad passing of the Queen kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah.
Because we knew that she wasn't in the best of health. However, I think it was about Thursday afternoon you started hearing things and you're thinking, wow, this could be the end. And so it was. Very sad, obviously. How did you receive it?
Do you know what? I was doing the watch along at the time, actually, and people were saying it in the comments. Obviously, I'd heard earlier in the day that she was unwell, and it was shocking. You know, it's one of them people you just feel like they're going to live forever.
Yeah,
because my whole lifetime, she's
right,
and the same. So, yeah, it was shocking, to be honest. It was quite shocking. Very sad.
It kind of felt eerie because previously you'd heard that she's not been well. I mean, even a couple of days before that, I think she received the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, and you'd heard stories that she looked kind of frail, but you would expect that, 96 years old. But what I'm saying is, previous times we've heard that she's not been in the best of health. But this time was a little bit different. The way it was being reported, you're kind of thinking to yourself, is this the end? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was very sad. It's the end of an era. And of course, that led to lots of events being cancelled, notably the football. However, I would say, I'm not going to ask your opinion on this, it would appear from what we know now that the government, and in conjunction with consulting with the royal family, they extricated themselves from actually cancelling events, didn't they? So basically what they did, they gave the decision over to the sporting authorities.
Yeah.
And some sporting events did go ahead, most notably the cricket, which I ended up watching. I think there's some other stuff, some rugby, some horse racing, one or two other things went on. But no football, sort of blanket, no football. Some people were a bit upset about that, and the reason for that is because they felt that they should be trusted to be able to pay tributes to the Queen in their own way, and they felt that was denied to them. Because there was a feeling, and I'm sure you've heard this, that the reason why the football authorities decided against having football is that, let's be honest, they simply couldn't trust football fans up and down the country to observe the tribute to the Queen in the right way. So what was your thoughts on that?
I mean, listen, you got to be respectful. It's it's a very big occasion, but for me, I felt football should have been trusted to pay their own tributes. I think, you could have done programs, put a face on the program. You could have done floral tributes, minutes applause or silence. I think there were a lot of ways you could have shown your respect, and I think football in this country is very powerful. I think you saw at cricket and things like that the way the fans came together to pay their respect. So Listen, I understand why they did it, but I kind of feel like they could have allowed it to have gone on. I mean, for example, like my son's game was called off. Kids' football was cancelled. I think that was I think, you know, I think it shouldn't have really affected the kids and grassroots football. But so listen, I understand why they did it, but like you said, the government didn't make the decision. They threw it onto the FA. I think the FA just panicked and thought, well, if we play, there's going to be a backlash. So I kind of get why they did it. I think the government should have made the decision one way or another. But yeah, I think they should have probably played and paid tribute in that way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I kind of think that the football community feels a little bit let down. And part of the reason for that, it's not just the cancellation games, it's this whole notion that football fans couldn't be trusted to observe the tributes in the right way. And I happen to think that 99.9% of people would have done. And like you said, they could have come up with some innovative and creative ways in which to pay tribute to the Queen in their own way. For example, I think it was West Ham's game where the fans abroad on that same night when they sung the national anthem. Yeah. And that was not only sung by West Ham fans, but the home fans in that ground as well. So, yeah, it was a bit of an opportunity lost, but, you know, here we go. Okay, moving on then to one of our regular features of the show, which is a review of Arsenal's last game. It seems far away now, doesn't it?
It was only last week as well.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Arsenal's game in their first of the Europa League campaign for this season against FC Zurich, the mighty FC Zurich, who going into this game had not won a game all season. I think it was something like they'd had 7 games, 2 draws and 5 defeats. So on paper at least, it shouldn't have been the hardest game for Arsenal. I mean, it was interesting. We did a watch along here, and you know, I mean, universally people were predicting 3, 4s, 5s, and 6s. Yeah. Well, it didn't quite turn out like that. Arsenal did win the game, 2-1. I would say, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts, that they weren't overly convincing. However, there were some positives that we'll talk about later. But yeah, just going through the stats of the game before I ask you to comment, Curtis. Shots on goal, FC Zurich 10, Arsenal 18. Shots on target, FC Zurich 4, Arsenal 8. Possession, Arsenal 71% compared to FC Zurich's 29%. Passes, Arsenal 468 completed passes to FC Zurich's 267. And of course, the most important stat of all was the goals, 2-1 to Arsenal. Goals for Marquinhos on his debut for Arsenal, Eddie Nketiah, and FC Zurich got a penalty. Right, so that's the backdrop. Yeah. What was your thoughts on the game, Curtis?
I mean, first of all, it's good to be back in Europe after not being there last season. I think the game overall, I always think the first game of any cup competition, just win it. Win it first and foremost and then deal with the rest afterwards. I think the performance was a little bit unconvincing, considering how poor they've been in their league.
I have to say, that's a bit mild from you. I thought you was going to go in a little bit.
It's been a long week, you know. I've softened my stance a little bit, you know. A lot's happened.
I think over time. Yeah. Because you weren't saying that when I spoke to you.
No, you know, straight after the game. But no, it's been a week and I'm happy
You've
to
had
have
time
football.
to reflect.
Yeah. No, listen, when you look at those stats, we dominated the game. We had more passing, more shots, more chances. It's just in the end, there were times in that game where I thought, boy, you know, you got to look at the end of the game, he had to bring the cavalry on. Yeah. You know, Odegaard, Saka, Jesus, he had to bring them on because I think he felt a little bit uncomfortable. You know what? They could get an equaliser and that would have been embarrassing.
Well, I was thinking that. Yeah. Because, I mean, although we were the superior side, there can be no doubt about that. 2-1 is a very precarious scoreline because all it takes is one counter-attack or set piece or, you know what I mean, breakaway, and it could be 2-2. And then you can imagine, especially coming off the back of that United loss, we go out there and we don't get a result. It's not looking very good for us, you know what I mean? But, yeah, so any players that impressed you?
I mean, I think the obvious one is Marquinhos, innit? Bit of an unknown quantity when we signed him. There was talk of him going on loan, but he did well in pre-season. They've kept him, and I really enjoyed his performance. You know, I know it's a Europa League game, and there is another level he's got to go up if he wants to get in the Premier League team. But
1 or 2, I think.
Well, maybe 3 or 4. but no, listen. In that game, he did pretty much everything that he could do. There was a maturity about him on the ball that I liked because he picked when to go at the defender and when to just keep the ball.
Right.
I hate to do this, but you know, a lot of people are comparing him to Pepe. I know it's only one game and stuff, but there's definitely something there with him if you can build on that. Obviously, he got very emotional when he scored.
Yeah, he did.
I saw a lot of people talking about it. I personally, you know, I didn't have no problem with that. It's probably
I can't see why anyone would. We seem to be in this kind of culture at the moment that if a player celebrates or shows an emotion, people seem to take that as a negative. I mean, you know, it shows how much it meant to him. That's how I was reading from that.
Yeah. And you don't know what people's background is, how hard their struggle's been. Made his debut for Arsenal, took his goal well. I think he got man of the match as well.
The only slight problem I may have had with that,
Go on.
and it didn't turn out that way, which I'm glad to say, but sometimes when you see a player react like that, they're so overcome with emotion, you wonder how they're going to negate you know what I mean, negotiate the rest of the game.
I suppose the problem would have been, imagine if he cried and then we end up drawing the game. Man, I said, man was crying at 1-0. You know what I mean? So you got to pick but I think he was just overcome with emotion. And listen, I've always said...
But he recovered himself to carry on having a good game,
Very
which is
good.
the point I was making.
I think over the years, we've had players here that it's almost been like we're doing them a favour, letting them play for us. You know, like, oh, you know, I play for Arsenal, but they're not that bothered. So me personally, I think it's good to see people that care about the shirt and things like that. So,
and he's only a young guy as well. He's from a foreign country. You know, he's desperate to get minutes. He gets an opportunity. It is a major competition. He's come in the team and he's scored. I mean, you know, you can understand that he's going to be very emotional.
Do you know the standout moment of the game for me?
Right.
Seeing Granit Xhaka outpace their midfielder. And the guy fell over. I said, what's going on here? Maybe the Swiss air gave Granit like a boost in pace.
But you know what was interesting about that is that in the watch-along, and I'm not sure if this is replicated across the country, but in the watch-along, people were saying it wasn't a case of how quick Xhaka was. It was a case of how slow the opposing player
I'm trying to give Granit a little bit of credit, but I don't know. I've never seen Granit outpace someone like that
by
before.
some distance as well.
I said, wow, this guy, I don't know what's gone off. He lands off the plane, goes back home, just turns into a different player.
See, this season he's showing attributes that none of us seen that he had. We didn't see that coming, and neither did that opposing player.
He didn't either.
Because he was left in his wake.
He was. But no, listen, I thought...
so apart from Granit Xhaka's newfound sprinting skills, what else impressed you? Marquinhos?
Marquinhos. You know, I thought... Vieira was... I thought...
That's Fabio Vieira,
not Patrick.
I meant to make that clear.
Yeah, I thought he did okay. Yeah, I thought there was good moments in the game. He played the little pre-assist he did to Eddie, and then he crossed it. Great little feet, nice pass. One thing I would say, listen, I think he's lightweight. And don't get me wrong, when you play in that role, you don't have to necessarily be a brute. You know, we've seen Bernardo Silva and them; they're quite.
I was going to say, there's a couple of players in the Premier League that you would look at them and say they're lightweight, but actually they hold their own.
They hold their own.
I mean, dare I say, N'Golo Kante. You know,
Kante's got that inner, that power though, and you can't just.
He's also got the running ability as well.
I thought Vieira looked decent. Again, he needs to. Over time, he's going to have to step up a level or two to get.
So what you're saying is he's not quite there yet.
No, I think he needs a little bit of time.
Marquinhos?
Marquinhos. Listen, for me, if you're in a game and Saka's not performing, we've seen too many times for me where Saka looks exhausted and we just leave him on the pitch. You know, because the manager never wanted to bring Pepe on. Let's face it. So I think now, if there's 20 minutes to go in a Prem game and Saka's tired. Give this guy a chance, Marquinhos. When we signed Martinelli, I think he come from the 3rd division in Brazil. And look how good he's turning out to be at the moment. So give Marquinhos a chance for me. And see what
I've got to say, I liked him. I liked his energy. You can see he's got skills. I like the fact that he was willing to try certain things. He took his goal well. And I thought he had a very good game.
Very good.
Similarly with Vieira, Fabio Vieira, I thought that... you can see he was trying a few things and he didn't look overawed by the occasion. I do take your point about him physically. Maybe could probably do with some pure gym membership.
And some dumpling and some hard food.
You need to get that pure gym membership. It's 24 hours, you know.
It's
going there around the clock.
And it's cheap. It won't cost you much.
But listen, man, I think both of them in time will get more game time for Arsenal. And so, I was quite encouraged.
Yeah.
In terms of the result, yes, but the performance wasn't great. But, they got the job done.
That's it.
So, Okay. So that was that. At least they got their Europa League campaign off to a winning start.
Yeah.
It was away from home, and it's not the strongest of opposition, but a win is a win.
Yeah.
Is a win is a win.
Yeah.
So we keep moving. Right. Okay then. Moving on. Ops of the week. I'm pleased to say we have an Ops of the week.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Because some teams, your Man Uniteds of this world, can't say that.
Well, not in the Premier League.
Yeah, not in the Premier League. So I guess we should just feel blessed.
Yeah, of course.
That we got a game. Obviously, the funeral is taking place on the Monday, and let's be honest, games have been cancelled, but you can kind of understand it.
Yeah.
The logistical nightmare of police in the streets on that day, that whole weekend actually, and then you take into account the security detail that's going to have to be deployed for it. It's a massive operation.
It is,
So I can kind of see why some games fell by the sword. There is an argument to say why have some of the games up north not going ahead. Listen, I'm not going to get into that. But in terms of the capital, I mean, listen, I live in London and I've seen an increased presence already in the amount of people. I was at the theatre on Sunday actually, and the amount of people in the West End on Sunday, and they were just tourists coming back from probably visiting Buckingham Palace and surrounding areas and so forth. It was heaving. What I mean? It did actually surprise me the amount of people about, and I'm sure they weren't all there for the theatres and stuff like that. They'd come to pay their respects or whatever. So I can see that. But listen, we're just glad that there's some football back. So we should feel blessed. And our game is also going to be a very good game. Brentford away, a team that Arsenal are familiar with. It was to have been at 2:00. It's now been pushed back to 12 midday. And I'm sure that's in keeping with the overall security aspects in the capital that weekend. Right, so if we look at this game logically, it's a game that we need to bounce back from in terms of our last Premier League game was against Man United, which obviously we lost. So it's a big game. It's away to Brentford, a place where we struggled previously, notably last season, where, let's face it, man, we got beaten quite comfortably. And let's face it as well, Brentford have good form there. Dare I say it, they smollywopped Man United there a couple of weeks ago, 4-0.
Slapped them up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, one-way traffic. And they've got a good record this season. I think, let's have a look at their record, actually. I think they're currently in 8th place. 6 games, 9 points, 2 wins, Man United and Leeds, 3 draws, Leicester, Everton and Palace, and just the 1 loss to Fulham. Slightly surprising, but it may be not, because Fulham are having a decent season this season too. The danger men, the obvious being Ivan Toney, but they've got a good supporting cast as well. Got some very good players. Curtis, how do you see this game panning out?
I mean, like you said, they were blessed to have football back. I hope we're still feeling blessed at 2 p.m. when that game finishes, because do you know what? I think you have to give a lot of credit to Brentford. They're a team that they got promoted. They didn't even win the league when they came up. They haven't spent big money either, and I think Thomas Frank's a really good manager. In a week where you've seen Graham Potter get a good job from a lower team, I think Thomas Franks could be a similar manager that in time. I think he could.
Good point.
Listen, this is Ivan Toney FC. Let's be honest. They're a good team.
So you don't agree with good supporting cast?
They do have a good supporting cast, but it's like Michael and the Jackson 5. They're a good supporting cast, but Michael was the star overall.
I don't think he scored against us last year. Not when they beat us 2-0.
No, but he bullied us. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he did have a very instrumental impact in the game.
What I would say about this game, it's totally different to I think when we went to Brentford last year. I think Balogun played that game, Leno, Chambers. I think
shout out to Balogun, by the way.
He's banging goals in France. Yeah.
I saw a stat the other day where they said he scored more goals this season than Gabriel and Eddie put together.
Wow.
But obviously it's different level of opposition. But anyway, go on, sorry.
So I just think we're more equipped for this game now. Thomas Partey's back in full training. I don't know how long he'll be fit for, but we've got to make the most of him being back. Although, to be honest, I probably wouldn't risk him from the start.
I was going to say, it might be a risk, especially with a team like Brentford, who are like, energetic, lively, you know what I mean, get around the pitch and, you know what I mean, they're snapping at your heels.
Yeah.
Might not be the best game to, even if he plays, I wouldn't imagine he'll start.
No, I probably wouldn't. So, but like you said, you know, we lost the Man United game last time, so we do need to bounce back. I don't like to look ahead, but obviously our next 2 league games are Tottenham and Liverpool. So we got to get 3 points in this one, really. International break afterwards as well. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. We're going to have to really show what we're made of because, like you said, they're good at home. They smash United. They're going to be up for it at midday. So
let's talk about the starting lineup. So you've obviously mentioned Partey. We do have a few injuries and stuff like that, and he's been tweaking in with a few of the places. Who gets in your side for the weekend?
There's a couple interesting ones here because for me, I think the first question is right back. Is it time to bring Tomiyasu in? I think Ben White's done well there. I kind of feel like Tomiyasu should come back in now. I just think for that natural fullback, for the link up with Saka, that's nothing against Ben White, 'cause I actually think he's done well. I just think Tomiyasu can maybe offer us a little bit more at fullback there.
Because you got the impression before that the manager might have been thinking that, okay, that decision was necessitated by injury in the first place. Ben White come in and he'd done a good job. So the manager's probably thinking, while we're winning, you don't really want to change your winning side. However, that dynamic is not there now because we've lost. So, as you said, he might be looking at using a more natural right back. And I do agree with you because I think with this game, I would say that physical attributes, I think Tomiyasu kind of squares up better than Ben White would. And that's no slight on Ben White. I just think if you're looking at the two of them, given the kind of game I think it's going to be, I think that Tomiyasu probably edges it for me.
I would just put him in. And like I said, it's a bit harsh on Ben White, but I think long term, Tomiyasu is our right back.
Yes.
I think left back's the other interesting one because he went with Zinchenko at United. He didn't have a great game. I've seen a lot of people saying maybe Zinchenko could go into midfield, which you could then put Tierney back at left back. So that's another interesting
The thought process being that it will be a slightly different game. We may not have as much of the ball, but then it's difficult because Brentford do like the odd counter-attack. They might be happy to let us have the ball. Now, if they do let us have the ball, you'd have thought, Zinchenko. If we are forced to do a bit more defending, then maybe you would opt for Tierney.
And they're quite direct as well, aren't they, Brentford? Very quick on the counter-attack.
Very.
The midfield one, again, is the other one. I know, like me and you, we had some
I'm looking forward to this
polite debates about Sambi
Outstanding Sambi.
As you called him, outstanding Sambi.
I did rein that in a little bit. I probably got a little bit carried away.
I mean,
but listen, he did have a good game, in my opinion.
In which game? Man United?
I thought he was very good against Villa, and I thought he more than held his own in the United game. Some people were trying to say he was out of position for one of the goals. I thought that was a bit harsh, bro. I think overall, listen, the guy was brought in to do that El Neni role, and I thought he did that. And some.
I mean, when we discuss this, I think I know what you're saying. He's been put into that number 6 role, which is where Partey plays or El Neni. It's not his ideal role. I just think, a lot of people say, he's a kid. But I'm like, the guy's 22, 23. He was very hyped when we signed him, company saying this, he reminds him of Yaya Toure and all of that, and he's a Belgian international. Henry apparently spoke highly of him. I just think you got to take that bit more responsibility. You're in your second season now. I realise it's not your ideal role, but I'm looking at him going, I'm expecting more from you than Mohamed El Neni because we paid nearly £20 million for you. And I think when he's played, look, the Man United game was difficult.
Do you not, I see where you're coming from, but do you not think, as I do, that the role that he's doing, he's been asked to perform that by the manager? If you spoke to Sambi, he would probably rather he was given a slightly more expansive role himself. However, he's been told to sit and hold and break up play and just provide very basic distribution, which, without being disrespectful to El Neni, that is what he does when he's in the team. And I think with Sambi, you get a slightly upgraded version of that because to me, athletically, he looks a little bit more gifted than El Neni. Although El Neni's got more experience, so obviously, you know, there's going to be a counterbalance there. But what I'm saying is there's not too much of a drop-off. So
I know what you're saying.
That was the point I was making. But
yeah.
I know you want to see him do a bit more.
Yeah, I just want to see him do a bit more. I think
take on three and curl it in the top corner.
Here it goes. There it goes. Troublemaker. You know. Listen, I just want, you know what I mean? I think now it's your second season. You've had that first season to settle in. You know what the Prem's about now. We just want to see a little bit more from him. I think there is an argument there.
Is that not what Odegaard's there for, though?
I think Odegaard's position's a little bit different.
It's a bit further out the
Get
pitch,
between the lines, create for the strikers. For me, I think there's an argument to be had that you could play Zinchenko in midfield on the weekend.
Yeah. I know you've suggested that before, and I've thought about that, and it does make sense.
Yeah.
So you'd have Tierney in at left back and put Zinchenko. It's worth trying.
I think that could work. I think, look, Partey, like I said.
See, this is why we have you on the show, you see.
Well, not everyone will
come up with these innovative solutions, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Probably the likes of me wouldn't necessarily think of straight away, but it does make sense.
Yeah, I think we could do that. Xhaka, Zinchenko, get Tierney at left back, Tomiyasu right back, obviously Gabriel, Saliba, Ramsdale, then you go Odegaard, Saka.
I've got to ask you about Xhaka though, because you know, a lot of people have been bigging him up. I mean, as you know, I'm on the record as saying I'm an admirer of his, so you can take me out of the equation for a minute. But he was getting built up, and then all of a sudden we play Man United, and then the naysayers were back out. I told you, first decent team.
I was one of them.
He went missing.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I was with him.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
I was one of those propagating that.
Yeah, I was at the front, you know, because people keep telling me, oh, you know, look at Xhaka's form. He's in
Look at his pace.
He's in the Gundogan. Look how quick he is. He's in the Gundogan role, you know, that no one can stop him. And I was like, listen, Granit's one of them, and you're going to argue with fans all day about him. Listen, I think he's been playing well this season.
Xhaka.
Yeah. I think it's the Jamaica warm-up shirt has given him that Usain Bolt pace, you know. No, listen, Granit's played well, but I've always said Granit Xhaka to me is like a ticking time bomb. And it's horrible that I feel like that, but throughout time, I've always felt like, you know, people go, oh, Xhaka's playing well, and then something's gone wrong. He's given away a penalty, he's been sent off. Now, I know that's in the past, and we should judge him on what he's doing now. He's playing well at the moment, and I give him credit for how he's playing, and I hope it continues. I still think long term.
So what do you think the problem was at United then? Do you think he got exposed a little bit?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
some people I've spoken to seem to be suggesting that.
Well, you got to look at that game. Eriksen got man of the match. He's a very clever player on the ball. Bruno, you know, you give him a bit of time, he's going to damage you, you know. McTominay was doing all the dark arts stuff, fouling people, and getting away with it. I think Xhaka without Partey is, you know, he goes down a level. I think Partey and him together, they kind of, you know, push each other up a level. So I think Xhaka's doing well. I'm happy for the way he's playing. I would still like to see in the future.
I think part of the problem is, and you kind of alluded to it there, is that without Partey, Xhaka is like the senior operative in the midfield. And I think against some of the better teams, no disrespect to some of those teams we played, obviously, but a team like Man United, let's face it, when they're on song and their bigger players turn up, it will be a real test. So I guess basically what you're saying is you'll be all right against a certain level of opponent. Yeah. But once we start playing the so-called better teams with the better midfielders, he might struggle a bit with Partey not being in the team.
Yeah.
So
I would agree. Yeah.
Which kind of ties back to our disappointment that we didn't strengthen in the transfer window. Which we expressed on this show. I know some people. Actually, looking at the comments, a lot of people did agree with us on that, actually.
No, listen, I think as an Arsenal fan, you always feel like we get close to a situation where you're like, things are going well here, we're top of the league, we're playing well, just get us 2 more or get us 1 more, and that's going to put us in a really strong situation for the rest of the season. I don't know, I think as an Arsenal fan, I haven't often come out of a transfer window and felt like we've addressed what we really needed. You know, as fans, we're a little bit greedy. We always want a little bit more. Naturally. But just get what we need first. And I think you can all see it. If Pepe goes, you've got to replace him. If, you know, midfielders are injured, you've got to bring one in. I suppose the thing is, I think
Marquinhos will get fast track.
Well, maybe he will. It happened with Martinelli, and he played well the other day, so maybe he gets it. But I still think in midfield, games are won and lost there. And I think,
absolutely.
Listen, there's 10 games in the Premier League till the World Cup. If we can get Partey fit for 8, 9, 10 of them, we'll probably get through those, and hopefully we strengthen in January, and we'll have to see. Hopefully.
Right, where else in the team you think? Okay, right, forget that. So the rest of the team for the game against Brentford.
Yeah, so like I said, for me, I would Tomiyasu.
You retain Saka.
Yeah.
Odegaard, obviously.
Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, Jesus. Interesting, the Brazilian boys didn't get picked for Brazil. Few mixed thoughts. Some people saying, maybe they've rested them, but they've picked a very strong squad, so it's interesting.
Well, they don't come much stronger than Brazil's squad.
So I would have thought Jesus would definitely go to the World Cup. Martinelli has got a lot of competition in wide areas in that Brazil squad, but he's having a good season. Gabriel?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Gabriel, because I've spoken to one or two people. I know Lee Judges, for example. Shout out to
Big
Lee.
Up Lee, yeah.
I know he's not been that impressed with Gabriel so far this season. I beg to differ. I think, okay, 1 or 2 games, he's not been at his best, but overall, I'm still a big believer in him. What's your thoughts on Gabriel?
I mean, listen, I'm like you, I'm a big fan of him, but I think there's no doubt he's got a little mistake in his game, and he's got to get that out somehow. I think what's been so good about Saliba this season is the calmness and the lack of mistakes, apart from at Old Trafford where he was, defending on the halfway line. But I just think Gabriel, he's got this thing, it's like, the ball's there, I've got to go and tackle.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. He's got that personality where you can see he's a natural type of scrapper, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
The ball's there to be won. He's not thinking twice.
No,
he's just going to go in there and win it.
Yeah.
Which 9 times out of 10,
he does win it,
and he does win the ball. However, there's always that 10th time where you have to give away a free kick, even worse, a penalty, or you make a mistake that might cost us. So
yeah, if he cuts that out, I think there's still lots of potential there. But yeah, he definitely needs to cut that out of his game moving forward.
Okay, right. Yeah, we were talking about up top. I think obviously Gabriel Jesus is the. Got to ask you though, Eddie got one in the Europa League. Do you think he'll feature at some point?
Yeah, I'm sure he'll come on if we need a goal, and that's all Eddie's got to do. Anytime he gets a chance, try and score. Got his goal and an assist as well. He did give away the penalty, but he made up for it. Fair play to him. But listen, I think without being disrespectful, we can see there's a gap between Eddie and Jesus.
I think even Eddie himself would admit.
He would admit that. I think the one thing with Jesus, I don't know what you think, and people in the comments, I feel like at times I think we're getting Jesus to do too much. I would like to see him in the penalty area a little bit more.
Is that us getting him to do much, or is it he naturally wants to be involved, and sometimes he'll go looking for work when really you might say to him, well, if you stayed in the box there, if their attack breaks down, we've got you as a focal point up front, you're dropping a bit deep to get the ball, or trying to get involved, which is fine. However, at the end of the day, goals is the currency, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, listen, he's got a great work rate and his hold-up playing that, but in that United game, there was just that element of it felt like Lacazette from last year. You're running all over the place, exerting all your energy, but we need you in the box. I think they've got to create more chances for him, because ultimately he's going to be judged off his goals this season. Yeah. We need 15+ league goals from him. Yeah. So I'd like to see him in the penalty.
I would even go as far as to say that if we're going to achieve what we think is the bare minimum, which is top 4, I think he's got to be looking towards 20. Premier League goals, because we're not blessed with a lot of other goals in the team. Yeah. Is that unfair?
Well,
we do have goals. I mean, Odegaard will chip in with a few goals. Saka will.
But they're not prolific.
Exactly. Yeah, so I would say you've got to be looking at least 15. I think you're probably looking
closer
towards
to 20. Yeah.
But I think he's capable of getting 20.
Yeah. If he stays fit, he gets fouled a lot.
He does get fouled.
He's always getting fouled, man. So
and he's been a bit unlucky. He's had goals disallowed that you think, come on.
Yeah, should have come.
So he's always going to put in work up top, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's what I really love about him. Right. Okay. So that's the team then. We're coming to prediction time, bro.
Aye.
Which is always
interesting
because, as we always do on this show, people, we don't just throw out score lines willy-nilly. I asked Curtis here to break it down and tell me why he thinks that way. Other shows or other channels will just say, yeah, Arsenal 3-0 or whatever. On this show, we like to get a little bit more.
Laurie just throwing the jab.
No, we like to get a little bit more.
Yeah,
deeper,
you got to break it down.
We want to deep it.
Yeah.
We don't just want you to say, 2-3-0 or whatever. Tell us why. So, what's your prediction, man? Why?
I'm gonna go for a 2-1 victory for Arsenal. Well, I think so.
Because last season it wasn't.
I'm still having flashbacks of last year, but I just think
I don't think it can be as bad as last year.
It can't be as bad as last year.
We were poor in
it can't
game.
be.
I mean, it's not too often I will admit this, but we actually were flattered to get out of there with
we were soft last year. We were soft.
They battered us.
They battered us. But the thing with Brentford, and like I say, you've got to win the battle as well. They'll make you have a battle. They're a championship team that came up. They've got that fighting spirit about them. So the players have got to be up for the fight.
I've got to ask you, because you know a lot about strikers. You used to be a striker yourself at a very decent level as well. Ivan Toney, what's your thoughts on him?
I think he's quality.
Yeah,
I rate him. I think
you would have taken him at Arsenal.
I would have taken him.
I know this because he's told me this.
Do you know what? I still would take him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think Arsenal will go and spend that kind of money on another.
And would he come to Arsenal knowing that he's not automatic first choice?
Maybe not.
I don't think he was.
It'll be interesting. He hasn't had an international call up yet.
No. I know Jamaica were trying.
Yeah. But would they even pay for the plane for him to fly over?
Well, if they do, hopefully it can get him in before they play Argentina.
Oh yeah, they might need him for that game. Yeah, in New York. But no, listen, I think he's quality. He got signed younger in his career. He went to Newcastle, didn't work out, fell back down the leagues. That's very difficult for a young player. You're up there in the Prem, all of a sudden you're back down in them lower leagues. And then he's just ripped up every division. Yeah. Peterborough goals, went to Brentford, ripped up the Championship.
And dare I say it, it's not just the goals, is it?
It's the all-round game.
It's all-round play, hold-up play. He's even provided a few valuable assists this season. Yeah. He's a real pain in the derriere for defenders. He's got pace, he's got strength, he's got unbelievable confidence. You know, he backs himself. He's probably looking forward to this game. I bet he can't.
He'll probably tweet something about the game tomorrow. So, he's a good player, man. I think at the end of the season you might see some of the bigger clubs looking at him. And
the lad in Buemo looks good as well.
Yeah. I mean, Brentford, they're a dangerous team. Yeah. It's going to be a hard game. Make no mistake. If Arsenal aren't up for this game, we'll get found out.
I was going to say that. If they're even 5% off it, you will see the difference. They need to be at those levels, bro. Yeah.
The interesting thing is we're saying we've had a break. They've had a longer break than us because they didn't play in Europe. So while we were playing Zurich, so they haven't played for 2 weeks, Brentford. So I think we've had 10 days off by the time the game. So you wonder how that break will affect them. Will they be more fresh from the break or will they be a little bit sluggish? So I'm going to back Arsenal. We're top of the league. International break coming up. Partey's back. I think he'll, like I said, I would leave him on the bench, bring him on if we need him. Right. And we got, like I said, Tottenham and Liverpool after the international break. So I think it's very, very important that we win this game. It'll be a tough game. I'm going to go for a 2-1, scrappy 2-1. I think Brentford will probably nick a goal, but I think we'll have enough to beat them.
Yeah, you know what? That's what you said there sounds very plausible. I'll be surprised if we keep them out for 90 minutes. I can see them scoring. Even if it's not Toney, I think they will get a goal from somewhere. But then I also back us. We need this game. If we're going to stay top, we need to get a win. And I think the players will be up for it. Obviously, no game last weekend, so they would have been rested. There's been no excuses from us, even though we do have a couple of injuries. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We go in there, energised, looking forward to the game. London derby, away from home. You know what it is as well, and I'm sure you'll understand this. Early kickoffs away from home have not been Arsenal's best place, you know what I mean, in previous years. However, looking at the way things have been panning out so far, I've still retained, even despite the Man United loss, which, to be fair, they did in large spells play well. I'm going to stay with them for this game, man. I'm going 2-1.
Do you know what's interesting there? I had a few early kickoffs when I played, and the interesting thing about it is the club make you eat like lunch food for breakfast. So say the game's at 12, they'll probably eat at like 9:30. So you would think, all right, so early, let's have breakfast. They'll turn up with like chicken and pasta and that, and you don't even want that at that time.
Not egg and chips.
No, not egg. It's not that.
Not that type of lunch.
Not that type of lunch. So they turn up with like, you're like, bro, I don't want to eat chicken, and you know, they ain't, you know, these football clubs, they're not seasoning it up. It ain't jerk chicken or nothing like that. Some plain chicken, you know. So you're like 9 o'clock in the morning, you're eating breakfast, then you go to the game, and sometimes I think you watch a lot of early kickoffs. The games are quite slow. You know, the players take a little while to get going. So
absolutely, and I think it's also fair to say, I mean, I'd love to see a stat, but to me, it would seem obvious that if it's early kickoffs are going to affect the away team disproportionately a lot more than they would the home team. Because at least with the home team, even though it's early, but you do have an element of the same routine.
Yeah.
Okay, this is in London, so it's not quite as bad as, you know, getting up 6 in the morning or travelling overnight or whatever, but I just think that level of disruption can sometimes play a part.
Yeah.
Why teams tend to start off slow, and over the years we've seen that with Arsenal.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Mikel Arteta and his team have got their head around that.
Listen, there must be a light bulb or a song that he can play or something. Something can deal with that early kickoff, you know.
Well, at least I haven't got to worry about Aubameyang turning up late. There's an alarm clock not going off.
Yeah, no worries about that, oh, dear.
But yeah, like I said, I haven't got to be travelling all over the country. It's in London, so there should be no excuse really. But it's just that I've noticed a pattern that Arsenal and away games, early kickoffs, don't tend to go well or that well. But hey. Yeah, so, right, you've gone 2-1, I've gone 2-1. That's what we think. What do you guys think? Let us know. Sure, it's going to be a difficult game, but I'm backing Arsenal to edge what I think will be a very closely contested, hard-fought game. But I think that extra little bit of quality that we've got all over the pitch will tell in the end. Yeah?
2-1.
So we agreed on that?
We agreed on that one.
Okay, good. And like you said, man, it's great to have football back because last week, like I said, I did miss it. Yeah. And it was all, okay, I watched the cricket and I'm a big cricket fan. But I couldn't help but feeling last weekend was kind of reminiscent of lockdown. You don't want to go back there.
No way.
Right, we're closing up the show now, bro. Anything you want to say in closing?
Nah, listen, big up to everyone for tuning in. Like the video and let's hope Arsenal can get a win. International break coming up, which is, you know, well, no one really wants that, do they? But 2 weeks of no club football, but we'll have to enjoy. And
of course, we've got the bank holiday on Monday. Will you be attending the funeral, or will you be watching on TV?
No, I won't be there. There'll be obviously millions of people. It'll be so difficult to get about, won't it?
That's right.
So I'll just.
I'm actually headed in the other direction.
Are you going up north?
Yeah, I'm going up north. I'm going to York for a few days with my girlfriend, my partner.
Yeah.
So as people will be
coming into
converging on the capital, I'll be going the other way. It is a bank holiday, of course. Yeah. And I will miss the show next week, unfortunately. We'll try and pair you with somebody else.
If I host it in your name, I'll try and come with an equally good intro, you know?
Whoa, yeah. Well, you've had 135 occasions in which to...
I've learnt a lot of words now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, get that thesaurus out, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, bro, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming in, as usual. I've really enjoyed it. Hope you guys have too. Like I said, I won't be here next week. I'm away, but I'm sure I'll be leaving it in very capable hands. Curtis Shaw, AN Other, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for supporting.